Hi, everybody. Welcome. We'll get started here in just a few. As you're logging in, if you want to share where you're logging in from and your role within your organization, that would be awesome. All right, folks, know it's in the chat, but as we're getting logged in here, if you're just joining us, feel free to throw your location and your role within your organization in the chat as you're getting settled in. We'll get started here in just a couple minutes. Awesome. We've got quite the extent of locations. Really cool to see people from all over the country logging in. Just another minute or so and we'll get started. If you're just joining us, go ahead and throw your role in your organization and where you're logging in from in the chat. Ooh, Florida. I'm sure it's a little different. We're in Indiana, we're experiencing snow right now, so a little early, hoping it's not our only one before the winter holidays.
I saw Northeast Wyoming Realtor Alliance. I'm actually heading up kind of a little bit of the opposite direction, northwest. I'm going to go for Thanksgiving to Jackson. So it looks like snow up there every day. So that's kind of what you're looking for from.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're skiing?
No, we're just going to go for Thanksgiving.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for being here. We're going to go ahead and dive in. Appreciate y'all joining us today. Excited to share some product updates with you. Just as some table setting as we get started, you're all muted. So know that if you want to share something with us, we ask that you use the chat, or if you have a particular question, go to the questions tab and share it there. We'll make sure to keep track of those. And then if we don't get to a question, we'll make sure that someone from our post-sales team follows up with you. We encourage you to share anything that you want to share within the chat, but really try to keep those questions in that question tab if you can. And then also just know that this is recorded and it will be available for sharing afterwards. And so that should be coming your way after we're done. And if you have any colleagues that miss it, you can share it. Good deal. Okay, we're going to dive in. So our agenda today, we're going to talk through the winter release, which we're very excited. We've got some really cool stuff coming up there. But even more so, we've got some really big things in the purview here with Microsoft and meeting and documents integration, and then surveys and forums, which we have been spending some time ideating on and trying to figure out how we can make sure that we're meeting your needs as best as possible. So make sure you stay till the end. Cody will also be sharing the roadmap as well. And so it'll be me here as your facilitator. And then Cody, our CPO, is here to share and demo all of these awesome upcoming features for you. So moving forward, if you are new to Boardable and don't know as much about us as maybe some of our more seasoned customers, just want to quickly share with you what we're here to do. Ultimately, we want to set you up for success by focusing on these things, and let you know that that's what we're all about here at Boardable. And so you'll see as we continue to share some of these features that we're talking about today, some of the innovation that we're doing, it's really focused on these 4 core areas. And this is really what we're making sure that we can do for you as an audience. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Cody. He's going to share a little high level with you in terms of what's in this winter release, and then he'll get into some demoing of those features.
All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So winter release, we have it coming up in a couple of weeks. We're really trying to time this to be not disruptive to Thanksgiving for us and for you. It's a bunch of stuff that we've actually been working on for quite some time. I'll also apologize. I've got 2 kids in elementary school. I've got a cold perpetually at this point. So if I sound a little stuffy, that's what you're hearing. So coming up on December 3rd, we're going to go through, I'll be demoing some of these features today. I'm excited to show you guys some of these. These are also, I think, a little bit of the tip of the iceberg for the quarter and where we're going. So we'll start with some collaboration features, live streaming, and calendar subscription. If you see some asterisks there, there's a reason for that. There's some caveats to these. Live streaming is a professional only feature. I'll take you guys through calendar subscription. I'll talk through live streaming here shortly. Organization and efficiency. AI, we've been really leaning into AI to try and find ways to help everyone on this call get more done, right? Get more done, get it, potentially make certain outputs better by giving you time back or just by giving you more resources. Very excited to show you both one concept that is actually in the product today and one that is going to be in a couple of weeks. And in both cases, we wanted to make it, really optional. It still is something you have to, it is not on by default. You have to go in and turn it on. But we think there's a lot of promise to both of these. And we're actually looking to get back a tremendous amount of feedback around AI, how we're using it, how you're using it, and what we could do to make it better. So these are, by no means are they considered fully baked, and we actually are leaning into the idea of putting them out there in more of a beta state. They work well, but we want to hear from you so that the final form of these things matches your needs as closely as possible. And then last, not least, though, we have a few things that are a little more sort of day-to-day that we're thinking about, like improvements to the platform. They're not ground breaking, but they are really important. And so bi-weekly and bi-monthly meeting series, introducing those back into the product. Agenda, this is kind of this is a mouthful, to be honest. I'm going to show you the agenda. We made a mistake with some of the navigation, and we scrunched it down too far. We want to give you some real estate back. We have a plan to do that. And there's a longer term plan to improve the agenda. We want to make sure we get you guys back to it being useful and usable for you today. And then bulk user, again, kind of a mouthful, bulk user upload. This is all about, hey, how can we make it easier to add a lot of users? So if you have board turnover or you're starting fresh, how can we make that easier for our customers? So that's the winter release coming up on December 3rd. It's probably about half of what we're going to talk about today, I would say. And it is really important because we do expect these things to be in front of you sooner rather than later. So we don't want anyone to be surprised. So let's go ahead and go to the next. I think, so collaboration. So live streaming, let me just describe live streaming. So for anybody who is not familiar or hasn't, I think I talked about this in a previous webinar. We have the ability with Boardable Video to allow you to stream your meeting, the video portion of the meeting, to YouTube. And we can expand that in the future, but today we can allow you to live stream your meeting to YouTube. And there's a lot of use cases for this. Primarily, it's when you have a public meeting component and you want to be able to invite people to watch your meeting. Perhaps you're remote, but you want people to be able to see it, but they're not really interacting. They're not looking at your documents. They're not members of your board. You have a component where you're maybe required by law to stream your meetings publicly. We have made this exceedingly simple. I will not demo it today. I'll show where it is in the product as far as turning it on, but it's very, very simple. If you have a YouTube account, probably the hardest part of live streaming is making sure your YouTube account is set up to stream. And if you have that requirement, you probably already know that. And if you don't, if you're interested in this, we have some help articles that are pretty detailed. I think I've recorded a video that's part of our help. But it's really straightforward. I think the first time I ever did this, it took me less than half an hour to get everything set up, and I was streaming without any problem. That comes as part of Boardable Video. And then calendar subscription. This is something we heard a lot. This is another feature where we feel like it's really step one. We want to put this out. We want to see what people think. We had a version of this, I think, in the past. It kind of predated me. But calendar subscription is something I'm going to show you today. And it's very much about how can I see what's happening across my organization all at the same time in an external calendar. So can I pull up an external calendar very quickly and see, hey, do we have any conflicts? Like if I book a meeting for tomorrow in my own calendar, is that going to be a problem with what I have scheduled in Boardable? So again, I think a valuable feature, but I can definitely see us making some tweaks or adding some filters to it in the future based on the feedback that we get about it. So I think this is first live demo, Alex. So why don't I go ahead? I'll go ahead and share, and I will start with just what does it look like to begin with? Like if I look at, let's go on in here. If I were to be, this is our Boardable account. So this is what we use day in, day out. These are real things. Under settings, there's going to be a few settings in here that are new. The first one is calendar subscription feed. So I've already enabled it. If you don't have it enabled, this is empty. There's no URL here. The copy doesn't work. Down here, you can see I have streaming as well. And this is where I can enable streaming as a pro, as a professional account. By leaving it disabled, even if you're a pro account and you don't plan on using it, the option won't show up during Boardable Video. So it's not going to be clunky. It's not going to be in your way. In this case, I just clicked copy URL. It was very straightforward. It copies it. The first time you enable it, you do save the page. We have a note that says that will tell you to do that, so you won't have to guess. And then I'll go ahead and I'll share my calendar tab. So my calendar, I've hidden mine because it's usually a disaster, but I actually have that same link. I have created one here. And all you have to do that is in Gmail or Google in particular, you just click from URL, you paste that URL in, and it will start to sync those events. So for our Boardable, this is our Boardable account represented in this week. So you can see we use it pretty extensively. We also have a Boardable organization that's just engineers, and we only have one thing, which is a Wednesday stand-up. I can go forward, I can look ahead, I can see what we have. The good news is an update made to Boardable will reflect here. It will sync eventually. And there's no limit to how many of these you could put on a single calendar. I don't believe. That might be limited by Outlook or Google, but we don't have a limit to it. So this would keep me, so if I were to activate my calendar, you could see I have to figure out, I might have a lot of conflicts. And so it's nice for me to be able to pin that down and say, hey, what do I have for Boardable? And what do I have, let's say, today? And I can go through and actually see that directly. So that's a new feature. That's something that we have just rolled out, and it's available to basically, or we will on December 3rd. That'll be available to basically everyone, and you can grab that link. A couple of things I'll note. There is no filter. So it is, that link is all of the events for your organization. We don't drop it down by group or by user. That's just everybody. So it's good if you have someone who has access to all those meetings already or who needs to know every single meeting. Also, it's not really discoverable. So if you turn it on and use the link for yourself, no one's going to back into getting that link there. You have to share it with them directly for them to be able to see it. So pretty safe. If it's something you want to use personally, just to use on your own personal calendar application, pretty safe way to go. Okay.
Awesome.
So, and we can definitely capture any questions you guys have as we go. So either capture in chat or in questions, and then we'll try and run back through and answer them at the end.
Great. Okay, we're gonna dive into a little bit of a poll here. Question for everyone. What are the primary barriers when leveraging AI? New technology here, continuously evolving, lots of potential, lots of maybe questions, but we'd be curious if everybody wants to take a minute and go ahead and submit their vote.
I think it's useful too, Alex, like as you guys are answering this, and we definitely appreciate it. For us, it's, how do we approach AI, right? We want to know what the barriers are for you so that we can overcome them. So if it's trust or policy or knowledge, right? Like these are, or experience, these are things we can help you with. And so really valuable for us to know what's keeping you guys from using it, what's sort of in the back of your mind when you hear AI and the approach that you guys are taking. So we will definitely take this information and incorporate it into how we approach AI to help you the most. Although you guys are pretty evenly split. Trust is way up, is up there.
Way up there.
So it's pretty much all of them.
Yeah, there is quite a distribution amongst all of the reasons, but it is, I think, maybe unsurprising to see trust at the top there. With new information, new technology, I think there's always that calibrating season. So really helpful, and thank you all for participating in this. This is really awesome knowledge for us to have as we continue to figure out how to better leverage AI within Boardable and make sure that you all are getting the best of it in regards to board management. Great. All
awesome.
right.
So let's talk about our AI features. So we selected a couple of places where we felt like AI could have an almost immediate impact. The first one, I'm going to demo both of these today, but the first one is very much about, I'm in a meeting. I missed the first 10 minutes. Happens, right? It happens to everybody. I maybe didn't pay attention for the last 10 minutes, or they said something very profound and I don't remember what it was exactly. And I really want to make sure I capture that. Action items, things like that maybe as you're going, you want to keep track because you want to come back to it. So we built an in-meeting assistant. So if you're in Boardable Video, and I'll demo this, you can open the in-meeting assistant and you can start asking it questions. And I'll get into more detail on that in a second as we go through and demo it. AI generated minutes. This one is really important that we define kind of how we approached this, because not everyone is interested in having AI generate their minutes for them, right? They have a very specific format. I've heard this from customers directly, like I would not use it because I want to do it exactly the way I like it, or we have very specific requirements. We totally understand. So for us, I'll demo this and I'll show you, we're not taking away any functionality. We're leaving the functionality as is. We're just augmenting the ability to use a set of minutes that AI generates from the transcript and the agenda and some other things to allow you to pick and choose. You can choose to use it wholesale. You can choose to use a piece of it. But what we didn't want to do was get in the way of the processes already in place. So we will show that. And it's a real focus for us. We're leaving cycles open to make sure that we can act on any feedback. It's very, very cool. It's a very cool thing to see work in real time. And our goal was, let's make it a really nice experience that doesn't detract from what the actual work you guys are already doing today with minutes, which we know is critically important. Cool. Let's do another demo. You guys are actually getting quite a few live demos today. Like we usually would record a few of these. These are all live because we wanted to give you a sense of exactly how these things work, sort of real world. So let me share another screen with you. This screen, just as a heads up, it might be less familiar. If you're not using Boardable Video, you might not be familiar with this screen that I'm looking at. I literally clicked the join button on the meeting itself. And, it can take you to a Teams link or it can take you to a Zoom link. If you're using Boardable Video, it brings you here. And so unfortunately, you're maybe seeing me twice right now. I'll turn that off. I can join the meeting from here. In this case, this was a meeting that we had yesterday. If you're used to using Boardable Video, or even if you're not, you can see we have agendas, right? We have agendas, we can check things off. We have minutes that you can start to take. We have documents that can be added. If you're using Boardable Video today, you've never seen this particular icon. And this icon is our AI assistant. So if I click that, and as you can see, it's in beta, so it may tell you something crazy every once in a while, or we may just continue to update it, so it might not be in its final form. You can see I just started asking it questions. I said, well, what kinds of things can I ask you? And it says meeting details, attendees, agenda items, documents, content from the transcripts. It will give you, so just asking it, well, what can you do for me is a great place to start. I would say, like just asking it, what are the meeting details for this meeting? And it will come back and it'll give you a set of details, right? Like at the end of the day, we don't just use a transcript for this. We actually allow it access to the meeting information. So what it was called, where it was, what time was it? This is after the fact too. So who attended the meeting? I can ask that as well. So it can go through and tell me some of this. You can ask it for additional details as well, right? Like key decisions, like what were key decisions? And it will go through and do a really good job. Again, it's interesting that it says that Laura was mentioned as being double booked and potentially unable to attend. So even though I didn't really tell it, didn't ask it for that, it gave me that little piece of information that if I wasn't in the room, I wouldn't have understood. You can see it clearly went through and decided, took out key decisions, timeline, focus areas, post release. I didn't have to ask it for any of this. I didn't have to go crazy with it. I kind of just asked it like I would ask a human being. And in this case, this human being has been sitting in this meeting room for 24 hours since I had the meeting yesterday. And so I will say you guys probably can't tell whether this is accurate or not. It definitely is, right? So when I go back through, we didn't have to prep this for anything. It did a great job of capturing key decisions. And if I wanted to go back through and just check our progress, I could do that very, very easily. So this is going to be part, and I can actually, as with anything, I can expand it all the way, or I can move it over, or I can close it all together. That's going to be a part of every Boardable video meeting. So if you have AI turned on, you will see that icon and you'll be able to click it and start asking it questions immediately, because it already has access to an agenda. It knows which documents are there, although it doesn't go into the contents of the documents yet. It knows who's supposed to be there, who is there. So it knows the meeting details. So you can start asking it questions immediately, and you can ask it questions up to 24 hours after the meeting. So our meeting was yesterday, a little bit later than this. So I just went in and started asking it questions. And everybody has a different set of questions. So Alex and I, we were in the same meeting. She would not see my questions and I would not see hers. So I can go and ask it, what did Alex just say? And it would come back and tell me, and she wouldn't know that I had asked about the veracity of her comments. So we really like this. It's very new. I am shocked at how good it is. Even in a hybrid situation where you're all in the same room, it will pick out through context who said what. So if I said, hey, Alex, can you tell me about X, Y, and Z? And she started talking and then she kept talking, it would attribute all of her comments back to her. So it would say, Alex said these things. Oh, and she also said this piece. So it's a little spooky how good it is at capturing that stuff, but it's really, really useful if you want to go back and jog your memory or capture decisions or update your minutes with some details. So that's the first piece. That's the piece which is in the meeting. We have an agent that's going to help you. It's going to ask you questions. Long term, we want you to be able to tell it to do things within Boardable. Right now, you can just ask it things. So the second piece of this, let me make sure I have the right tab. Yep. Got it. The second piece of this is that we have AI generated minutes. So we took it even a step further. We said, well, if it knows all of these things, why couldn't it just go ahead and try to create minutes? Does it have to actually, do we have to still write it, if it already knows all of this? So this is not live on the site today. We are still building. We built the back end pieces of this, but the front end was really important. And the front end being what you're seeing in front of you right now. So in particular, this is post meeting. Meeting has ended. The minutes haven't been started. If you had started the minutes, obviously you get the link that tells you where the minutes are. But what we wanted to do was leave you the option of start from scratch or start from agenda. We know these are really, really important. So if I click start from agenda, it's going to be able to put the agenda in. I can do what I normally could do, right? If I click start from scratch, it's going to give me an empty space and I can start from there just like I could previously. So if you don't have AI on, you're not going to have to worry about it. If you do have it on, you can still execute and do exactly what you're comfortable with. However, let's say you were interested in what did AI actually put together? Like, what could I evaluate it? Sure. We just built a tab right next to it. You can copy and paste any of it in, and it's going to give you your meeting details, your attendees, who wasn't there. Was there a call to order? Was the agenda approved? Did we approve the minutes? And then it's going to go through and give some reports and old business. This will all depend on what you talked about. So if you don't call the meeting to order, it's not going to have a call to order section. If you don't approve the previous minutes, you're not going to have a previous minutes section. This is where we want to give content and see what the feedback looks like. And if there's structure that we could add to this, sorry, I was scrolling around there a little bit. We want to be able to do that. Long term, we think you being able to ask for small tweaks is very likely. So we've thought about that. So now that I've seen what it said, well, maybe I just want to start from there. Well, that's very easy. We just added a third card. You can start directly from the minutes. Maybe this was so easy that you didn't have to do anything and you're just going to publish them and you're done. And the minutes are published and these are the official minutes. It'd be just like what you had before. I didn't notify attendees, but you certainly could have. You can also get signatures the same way that you can get signatures today. If for some reason you started from the agenda, took a peek at the AI generated minutes and said, you know what, I really would rather start from there. You can just start from there, or you can start back from the agenda. So we just gave you some tools to be able to play with the content that was generated without being beholden to it. You don't have to use it. You don't have to interact with it. You can always just do the same old start from the agenda or start from scratch. And if you've already started, we give you some tools to be able to just use the AI generated content by copying and pasting.
Yeah, I really enjoy this. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is just seeing how people use it in beta, right? Like we're not kind of forcing a hand in any direction, but hopefully it does provide a little bit of like quality of life for being able to reference, something that was there and listening in to be able to make sure you catch everything, and you can still put things into your own formatting if you need to with the editor. So I really like the versatility of this one. I think it'll be really great for people.
It's exactly right, Alex. Like flexibility and versatility was really important. We wanted to be flexible. We did not want to be restrictive as to where you could use it or how you could use it. A reminder: if you don't have AI on, none of that you won't have to see any of that, right? We're not gonna, that won't work if you're not using the AI tools generally. But if you are, it's an interesting thing to go and evaluate, and we would really, really, really appreciate lots of feedback. Like, just tell us, what did you like? What could it do differently? What tweaks would you make? Because for us, we're going to aggregate all that together, and then we're going to figure out, is it something that everybody would benefit from? Or should we just create some like flags or toggles or something that you could ask for it? Long-term, Alex and I have talked about this, uploading your own minutes, like copies of your minutes, and asking it to do it that way is very likely where we're going to go. Where you say, hey, I'd like my minutes to look like this. Great. Then the minutes generator, the AI minutes generator, will just build them that way. And so that's the longer term vision. We wanted to take one small step first before we tried to go down that path. And so we started here and we'll be launching this in December.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and head into some of the day-to-day updates that are happening here.
Yeah, so just really easy, right? Biweekly and bi-monthly meeting series options. We had those when we updated a lot of the meeting functionality to solve for some recurring meetings issues in the UX. we lost those. So we had to rebuild them. So we've rebuilt those. Those will be pushed out and you'll be able to choose those again. I did talk about bulk user upload, which I think you can see to the right, which is just some updates to, hey, do you have a template? Do you want to upload it from a file? Do you want to copy information in here? This we will do a larger explainer when we actually release it as to what you can do with it. But again, the whole goal here is, if you have a spreadsheet full of information, if you know a lot of things about these users, let's not make you double enter them. Let's not make this onerous. We know you guys have turnover. We know you guys sometimes want to add 10 users at a time. We want to make that as easy as humanly possible. What I am going to demo is the agenda. Again, I'll get into the details there, but that's something I'm going to look to demo and just show. We think we took it a direction that was counterproductive. We want to go back the other way and start towards improving the agenda. And step one is just reversing that particular decision. So
yeah, let's go ahead and dive in.
Demo? Okay. So let's find that one quickly. Okay. So if you're used to the new meeting UX, you recognize this is the meeting prep page. This is where you can see what status is. Have I sent invitations? Have I started materials? Have I published the agenda or any of the materials? Is there a board packet? For those of you who don't know even what I'm talking about here from a problem standpoint, it's probably because you're working off a wide monitor like I am. Wide monitors work fine for the meeting prep page. Smaller monitors, laptops, we have a gray bar over here if you're used to building agendas, and that gray bar takes up a lot of space. When we moved the navigation to the left to give more of a checklist style, it squished the middle of the agenda together and started to make it harder to comprehend what it was talking about. So what we've done here is, you'll notice the gray bar isn't here, which begs the question, well, how do you edit this? Well, we have two ways. You can click in as you always could, or you can click the edit button. Clicking the edit button now, or clicking into it, will actually just open a window that is on top of the window that you were before, right? It's just a modal, which is why we had the word modal in there. A modal is just a window that sits on top of the window you're in. You've seen them all the time in multiple applications. Everything else, again, because we don't want to mess with anything, is going to be roughly the same. So we've gotten a lot of feedback about the saving, about the back and forth. We have a lot of ideas that we are working on to try and make this a much more streamlined process. Step one was, we just wanted to give you back as much real estate as possible in order to be able to build your agenda. So going forward, when you click in and you update and save, it's going to go ahead and it's going to just work as it does today, but you'll just have more real estate. When you actually do get to the last screen, I'm going to go ahead and bring that back out. When you get back to this last screen, you'll be able to see more of the agenda, even if you're on a small screen, because we got rid of the gray bar. The gray bar doesn't do any good for anyone because you only really need this sidebar when you're editing. So that's the modal update. We've tested it on multiple screen sizes. Again, we felt terrible if this was harder for you on a laptop or on a smaller screen. And so while we could have gone the long way and tried to inline edit and make this so that we fixed a bunch of things at the same time, step one was, we just want to get it out so that you guys can edit your agendas and work with them no matter what form factor you're working off of.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this one shipped and out there for folks. I think that'll be a real quality of life improvement. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're heading into another poll. So if you could share with us what the primary platform you use for document building in your organization, whether it's Microsoft, Google, or other. This is also really helpful information for us from understanding the documents building and function. You might be using both too, so totally understand that, but would be curious predominantly what you're using at your organization. I think there's really like a universal aspect to this, but I also think it's important to understand for us how nonprofits are functioning in this space and what they're leveraging.
And if you're using both, I deeply feel for you. It's very hard, right? We have some of that. We don't have a lot. We're Google, but we don't have a lot of it. But when you do need to bring a spreadsheet, especially into Google Sheets, very frequently your charts go away and you have to restart. So we didn't put both on here because we thought that might be too painful of a prompt, but I'm sure there are a few of you.
Yeah, so we are predominantly, we've got 71 votes right now and 70% Microsoft. So hopefully we've got some really good news coming for the folks that are here on the call today.
We might have something to demo for them, Alex.
Yeah, just something.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive in. All things Microsoft integration.
Yeah, so we're working on this right now. I would say the functionality is probably 90% of the way there. We have a few things we want to just make sure it's very clear what's going to happen. So it's really more design work at this point. Two really big things, I would say. First is Teams meetings. The ability to select Teams from the dropdown, the same way that if you have a Zoom integration, you can select Zoom. Selecting Teams is going to create a Teams meeting for you. So you no longer have to create a Teams meeting, copy the link, bring it back in. We've done this so that it will go out, talk to Teams, especially if you're authenticated as Microsoft. That's a big thing. Microsoft, the biggest hurdle, we did a lot of research to get this to all work. And the biggest hurdle universally is authentication. If you're authenticated, it will go out, it will use your Teams account. It will also update calendars through Teams for your staff, right? We know your board members aren't going to all be on your Teams. We know they're all not going to be on Microsoft. But for those of you who are on Teams, your invites, we won't send an email to you. It's just going to update your calendar with that Teams invitation. And Teams will hold that meeting. So now they're in sync. You change one, it will change the other. And you don't have to worry about Boardable can be your system of record. And you don't have to worry about, oh man, I forgot to change the Teams meeting. It's at the wrong time. And so that's step one. Step two is SharePoint and OneDrive. So documents. If you're one of the 70 people on the call or whatever the number was, 70% of the people on the call who has needed to pull Microsoft documents into Boardable, you know that you can link. And if you link, you'll get a link back to OneDrive to go and see that document, or you can download and upload and bring it in as a PDF. And then that PDF can be used, but it's a onerous task of downloading, uploading from SharePoint or OneDrive or Office. So that was difficult, and you really couldn't view it natively in Boardable. Board packets wouldn't build with a document that was linked. So if you put a link in your agenda, it wouldn't build the board packet. You couldn't do multiple files. And then updates, right? Like weren't even a thing because you didn't really have PDFs. So why don't we go ahead and demo this? I think this is a lot easier to show.
Let's get in there.
The good news is I think what we will show should be pretty straightforward.
Awesome.
So let's do this one. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm not spoiling the surprise here on anything by getting too far ahead. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the Document Center. If you all are very likely familiar with it. Previously, if I were to take a document, this will be OneDrive and SharePoint, by the way. We've left it as OneDrive, but this is unchanged, right? I can select OneDrive. I will share this tab so you can see it, and I can pick any of these documents. I can pick multiple if I wanted, but I'm going to pick that one. I can select it. It's going to bring it in. And I'm going to reshare it because as soon as I pick it, it shuts it down. Okay. And that document's in there. That document is now down here. Previously, if I clicked this document, it would open up and say, do you want to open this in OneDrive? Now, when I do this, it actually brings up the document itself. And it lets me view that document. Oh, this one might be, I might have picked a blank document, which is on me. This one also did the exact same thing. This is just like a travel expenses document that was in OneDrive. This button was the only option you had before. You could not view this as in Boardable. So this is within Boardable. You can see I can go back. We also brought the ability, so instead of download, upload, you can just view the PDF. So now this exists here. You can annotate on it just like you could if you downloaded and uploaded. And one of the really interesting things is that if I go back and let's say I go to that same document and I realize, and this is my document. So again, OneDrive permissions will really matter. Here they don't, right? If you have permission to see this document, if it's in a group and you're in the group, you will be able to see this and you'll be able to see the PDF. But let's say that I realize the purpose wasn't really a conference and I want to click OneDrive. I can come over. You can see now it's in OneDrive. I could edit this and say vacation. It automatically saves because that's what it does. You can see it to documents. I can go ahead and switch back to Microsoft to over here. So I'm going to close that doc on my other side. I didn't have to, but I'm going to. I went ahead and did that. I'm going to come back out. I'll go back to the document. You can see it's updated to vacation. I mean, it's pretty much immediate, you guys. So if it gets updated and if I'm in it, it's you're looking at the picture of it, but pretty much as soon as it gets updated, this one will take another 30 seconds, maybe a minute to update, but it will update that PDF. So that PDF will stay in sync with my document the whole time. So the other piece of this that's actually, I think, very exciting is, so now if we're able to go back and forth and we can convert it, we can not only see it, but we can convert it. Well, what does that mean to a board packet? Well, as you can see, I've added some documents that are Microsoft documents, which previously would not have really worked. Now I can go in and open that. And those documents are actually going to be here. So this is the document that I added to it from Microsoft. So I didn't have to download and upload to put it in the board packet. I just included it and it built the board packet with that Microsoft document. For those of you, for the percentage of you that were on Google, you know this works exactly the same way today. Oops, sorry, I was sharing the wrong tab. This is the board packet. So the document, so you can see document 1 that was in here, it's actually this document. And so it brought it in and I didn't have to do any crazy thing to upload or download. I literally just attached it to the agenda. So the agenda and the document center will work exactly the same way. And my board packets, I don't have to worry anymore whether it's I'm linked to it or whether it's a PDF, it will build my board packet for me. I don't have to go through that process. And down here, we had a spreadsheet a little lower. I don't know how much lower. It's pretty big. Here it is. And so it converted it and brought it in. So that's the great news. For those of you on Google, I know now it's like, well, we have links and they don't render whenever I do this. We're going to update that as well. So we're going to update so that we have parity across both Google and Microsoft. But going forward, Microsoft, you'll be able to view documents the way that I was showing you earlier. You'll be able to create PDFs from those documents. You'll be able to annotate on top of them, and you'll be able to you'll be able to still go back to OneDrive as you wanted to. As you can see, that PDF, remember it said conference for that 30 seconds to a minute. Now it says vacation. So really nice, because that might be the thing that you're going to put in the board packet, and you want to make sure it's the latest and greatest. And then if you put it in a board packet, it will render. So a lot of updates to this integration. I think a lot of quality of life updates. And for some of you, it will be getting used to, I don't have to go through the process of downloading and uploading anymore, right? Like, how do I break that habit? But it'll all be native to Boardable going forward.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that, Cody. Lots of excited folks in the chat, which is great. And I would be remiss if we didn't take this opportunity to a big shout out for our engineering team, particularly our director of engineering, Wasim, who really architected this and was very detail oriented around the experience for the user. So we're just really excited to be able to roll this all out to all of you and see the benefit, and then continue to iterate it as you see how it works.
Great call out, Alice. Wasim might have traded a couple years of his life to make that work the way that we just saw it.
I
I'm being
know
honest.
for
It
sure
was
he's a
very
little
difficult.
grayer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the authentication piece of this was a real challenge, and he stuck with it and really drove it home. So I'm very happy about that. I think works flawlessly. I'm also excited for Google. So Google already, if you're a Microsoft user, you might not know this. Our Google integration already allows you to view and edit, and not edit, but view and then see it in Google. But we couldn't put it into board packets, and so it already had some of the things that we couldn't do for Microsoft just because authentication was so difficult. And he cracked it. He cracked the code. So it was an effort, but we're very excited to get it to you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I buried the lead here, but surveys and forms, that's what we're going with next. Really excited to share this update with everyone too, and to get it in your hands and get some feedback. But what do you got for us, Cody?
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this by the first two words, maybe the second and third word on the slide. Early look, you guys. So this is not meant to be what it's going to end up looking like. This isn't going to be, we haven't made every single decision about it. But what we have decided on is we're going to be rolling out 2 new ancillary products that can be just packaged together with Boardable and board management. And they're going to be 2. It's going to be surveys and it's going to be forms. And the difference between these 2 is pretty simple. Surveys is you're going to gather and aggregate information from anyone. So I need to send. Today, a lot of you might be doing this via email or via Google form, but the idea is that I need to get the sentiment from a group about a decision that we want to make, or get a count on like how many people want us to go for, this type of event versus this type of event. Forms is very much something that we think is near and dear to nonprofits specifically, which is conflict of interest forms or volunteer commitment forms. These are things you're sending to people and wanting to attach back to them as informational. What did they say they would do? What did they avow when they signed up? Did they have any conflicts of interest? And so we have 2 products that we are going to be rolling out later in this quarter. And the goal, we have a couple of goals with them. One is we want to make them pretty simple. We want to make them affordable. We want to make them simple. We know that there are some very complicated surveying engines out there. We want to bring just enough complexity to it, but we really want to make it easy to use. That's something we feel like it's part of our ethos. It's part of our identity when it comes to board management. We want to make sure that we're adhering to that when it comes to surveys and forms. We also want to make sure that we're listening to you guys as nonprofits and injecting that into these products directly. So when it comes to forms, we want to have a template library of forms so that when you need a form, you don't have to go look for it. Or we have a really easy way to create that specific form and edit it. So I'm going to give you guys a look today. It's primarily at the surveys piece of this. But the idea here is that this is something that will long-term work really closely together with Boardable. So putting results back into Boardable, triggering off of events in Boardable, say meetings, for example. And so we want to just give you guys a real sneak peek at this because we feel like this is something that could really enhance the experience with Boardable, but also outside of it. I mean, again, we hear constantly about like, hey, how do you survey your board? Well, I send emails to everyone and ask them the question, and then I get all those emails. We want to make that a 2-click thing where it's like, oh, don't have to do that. Go ahead, send this. And we want to make it reusable. There's lots of stuff that could be systematized and triggered that isn't today, right? There's a lot of repetitive effort. So let's jump in. I'll show you guys some use cases. And again, this is sneak peek. So be sort of, be kind, but also, be honest. Like we'd love to hear what you like and what you're thinking about it.
Yeah, particularly as Cody goes through this, if this is something that's really hitting a chord for you, we'd love to know if this is something that you want to be an early adopter on, or you want to provide early feedback. That stuff is really, really helpful for us. So please reach out to anyone that supports you at Boardable and make sure that they know that you'd like to be a part of this, and we can make sure that we're getting into your hands early.
Yeah. So I'm going to start out very basic, right? We have Boardable forms here. Even the logo, we don't even change it for surveys, but we have surveys and forms. I'm going to start with well, what does a new one look like? So if I just start with a new survey, we've tried to make this pretty easy. So let's say that I want to survey. I'll show you how I built like a post-meeting survey. These questions down the side, you can just click them, or you can drag them in, or you can click here. In this case, you could just ask, how was today's meeting? And as you can see, you get a 1 to 5 scale. I could also say, I really like smileys, right? I like a little more whimsical. I'm going to do that, but I require that they answer this question. They've got to answer this question. I can then very easily say, I want to add a question. I can just click this if I want. And it adds a question right there. It kind of scrolled the window for me pretty quickly. If I delete that, I could also go through and see, well, what are my choices here? And maybe I just want to put a single line out there and just drop it in. And I'm going to say, what would you improve? And I won't make that one required. It's a single line of input. It's text. If I needed any of these other fields, they're available, right? If I needed to ask them a phone number, or I want it to be a date, I could do that. I won't require it. And if I say, let's say I want to do 2 pages, I can easily add another one. And there's some interesting ones. I'm not sure we'll use them all, but you can even get to the point where you're asking questions like, which animal is your favorite, right? I don't know why you would do that, but maybe it's something you're interested in. As long as I've done that and I don't require that as well, I can then just very quickly, let's call this post meeting survey 2. And I'll go ahead and just preview it. And it's very simple. This is what it would look like in the email or via the link that they get. And they can just pick. They can say, hey, it's very simple. You would get a great picture of what it looked like. Nothing. I'm sure you guys hear this all the time. It was perfect. Next, I can say, I'll pick the red panda. I'll hit complete. And I get this message that they would get. But I also get to see, well, what does the data I'm going to get back look like, right? And so I chose the happiest smiley. Those are 5s. I can see the text, so I know what I'm looking for here. I also can see which image of the 4 images it was. So you get back this as a table. I'll show you in more detail here in a second. We also offer some options for you guys. You can use a header, a logo, so they know it's from you. I would say I'll skip down here. You can also have a very nice thank you page that you just save, and they'll see that every time. So you'll start to build a habit with them. You'll start to build some familiarity that you send a survey, it's got your logo. At the end, it says, thank you from us. And they start to get really comfortable with answering it, because that's always a piece of it. I'll cancel this one because I already have one saved. If I were to say, like, go to this one, you can see, if I click edit, you'll see I have very similar questions to what I had before. But if I'm done, it's actually going to bring me back to recipients. And one of the things that we want to do for you guys is we want to be able to choose a list. So I want to be able to grab boardable groups. I want to grab a board. So I threw the board in there, but maybe I also just want to grab a few people that are members. So maybe I'll grab Matt, and I'll grab Dan, and I'll grab Nick. Now I have this, and I could create a list from this group and say, hey, I'm going to send this back. We have a toggle here for send to everyone in my organization. That is very beta. I am not sure we will leave that. We offer some other things as well, which are, we have a due date that can be set. We can keep responses anonymous, but then you're just going to end up publishing this. And when you publish it, it's going to send an email to these folks. You can just get a link if you want. You can just get a link, paste it into an email of your own, if that's what you're interested in. And you'll be able to send an email separately. It will still work the same way. And I'll show you what the beauty of this is. So even if you send an email with that link, this is one where we already have some responses. So you wouldn't have to go through each individual email and read their question and tally it in a spreadsheet. We'll start out with who has sent it, who did you send it to, who completed it, who didn't complete it, and how many haven't started it. You get to see their responses in a table. This table automatically populates if they fill out the survey. And as you can see, it's pretty easy. You can do some searching, you can do some filtering. You can also just export it to a CSV. So it can go directly to a spreadsheet if that's what you're interested in. And then we have some really lightweight analysis that you can do. So when I asked about food allergies, I could look at it as a bar graph or a donut graph. We don't allow you to do analysis on like like text. So if somebody wrote out hey, the meeting was perfect, that's a really hard thing to do analysis on. We can do a word cloud on that, but we wouldn't do bar charts. We can do charts and tables. These come with the product, right? So you could just grab these, copy them out and use them. You can do vertical bars if you wanted to, but the goal is to make this as easy as possible. So if you guys are running surveys, you want to use it in an upcoming meeting, you want to pull it into a report. Our goal is to make it so that all you're really doing is thinking of the questions and the people, and we're going to do all of the rest. We do want to make sure that you have access to these surveys, the results in Boardable. So if you are surveying a group in Boardable, we want to put that survey result in that group as an object, so you could attach it to a meeting, for example. But the idea here is that we're building a full-fledged product where you can do all of this, connect it to Boardable as needed, but you could also use it for volunteers or anyone, just the public, if you wanted to send them a survey and just ask them a bunch of questions and aggregate that data and make some decisions off of it. So that's the early look at surveys and forms. We're excited about it. It does some really neat things. For us, it's sort of tempering how interesting is this idea that we can do versus how hard is that to implement. So one of the things, I'll give you a great example of this, conditionals, where if they answer yes or no to a question, taking them to a different set of questions, we built it. The question is that something that we're going to release immediately or not? A lot of that will be in the early feedback from early adopters and beta to tell us, hey, I really wish you could do that, or no, I'm okay waiting for that until later when you guys can make it really simple.
Yeah, for sure. So excited to get this into your hands and hear your feedback and figure out how we can make it the best version for you, especially at this initial launch. So we're really excited to get this one rolling. Okay, we've got 6 minutes, Cody, but this is, I'm sure, top of everybody's mind for.
I thought I was out of slides already, Alex. Okay, so we have our winter release coming up, you guys. The Microsoft integrations and AI generated minutes are going to be coming next. So we want to make sure we've got time for both of those, that we have the bandwidth to iterate on them. So if we get feedback, that was something we took away from a lot of the UX upgrades, you guys, was that just give ourselves the time. We wanted that to make sure that we could quickly respond to any feedback that we hear from our customers. Next is going to be surveys and forms. We want to get a version of both of those out in this quarter, which for us goes all the way through January. And then we'll continue to work on both of those products. Two things I did not talk about today, but we will be talking about: direct calendar connections. So we hear a lot about notifications. The way that we update external calendars is via email. We want to build some direct calendar connections to give the option to just say, hey, do you want to link your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar? And then it would just get rid of all of that email traffic that's going back and forth and updating. It makes it simpler and easier. We took kind of a step towards that with the subscription link you saw earlier. We're going to take some additional steps that way because we have heard that feedback from you guys quite a bit. Delegation control. So this is, I've got an EA as a member. I really want to give them access to do some of these things on my behalf. I don't want to have to go get an entire another user who isn't really a board member just to help me get my work done. This is all about how can we delegate things so that they can respond to a discussion or look at documents associated with a meeting. We haven't decided where we will draw the line on how much they can do, but it would always be related to an existing member, and we'd be very clear whether the member did it themselves or whether the delegate did it for them. There's quite a bit we still are sort of working out on the details piece, but it's, again, something we've heard a lot of. And then Boardable AI with documents. Documents are another area where we think there's a lot of value in summarizing and pulling out key points, maybe even giving suggestions as to, what could be done differently with them. And so that's really our next foray from an AI standpoint, is we want to make sure that we have documents on the horizon and start, again, very similar to minutes, where we say, hey, this is an option, give it a shot, tell us what you think of it, and then we'll continue to improve on it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for running through that, Cody. I know we've got just a little bit of time left here, so we'll probably just wrap it up rather than kind of open it up for questions. So one thing, if you put a question in the questions here on the webinar, someone will get back to you. You will get a response to that question. So know that our CS team, our support team will follow up to make sure that there's a closed loop there. You can also share ideas with us at this email address, productfeedback@boardable.com. And then don't forget to leverage our wonderful, wonderful post-sales team in success and support. They're so in tune with what you can do with Boardable. So make sure that you're reaching out to them to get that information. And then coming up next, our customer success webinar, December 12th, steps to a smarter Boardable setup for 2025. So really getting the year kicked off right, making sure that you're utilizing all the great functionality within inside of Boardable. I know we're heading into a holiday season as well, so all of you are probably thinking about Giving Tuesday and what that might look like. We're wishing you all the best efforts as you go and kind of head into that high intensity fundraising season. We'll be cheering for you. But yeah, we're so excited, so grateful you joined us today. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're excited to get some of these things in your hands and get your feedback. But Cody, thanks so much for all that you shared today and showed us, and really grateful for everyone being here today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much.